Andrew Saloon.
Thank you very much, Mr Davis, and I congratulate the Honourable Gentleman for Strangford on bringing this important debate before the House. When the Prime Minister announced the improvements to the child obesity strategy a few weeks ago, he did make the point that the UK is unfortunately an outlier in this area, in that he said that we are the most overweight nation in the whole of Europe after Malta. And I don't think sometimes we quite realise how serious our national situation is. And the implications of that on people's lives, to me, this has always been a social justice issue because it does really significantly adversely affect the poorest people up and down our country. And I was very struck by some information in the House of Lords report, Hungary for Change, Fixing the Failures in Food, which is a very good read for any members who want to take this issue further. But they pointed out the reason why we are the most overweight nation in Europe after Malta. And it's not very difficult to see, because on page 19 of the report, they state that in the United Kingdom, more than half, 50.7%, of all dietary energy from purchases came from highly processed foods. And that compares with Italy, where it's only 13.4%, and Portugal, where it's only 10.2%. So in other words, our diet is 5 times worse than the Portuguese. And all the figures are going in the wrong direction. Despite all of these strategies, it continues to get worse. You know, this debate really does need to be a national wake-up call on this issue. You know, well done to all the members here. I know the Minister gets it. I know the Secretary of State gets it. But, you know, this is a combined national effort. It's not just up to the government. You know, it's up to food retailers. It's up to local authorities. It's up to schools. And, yes, it's up to us as families, parents, and individuals to do the right thing. You know, everyone needs to pitch in and do the right thing. And as we look sort of further, just on page 20 of this House of Lords report, the thing I found completely shocking was that 47% of primary school children's dietary energy comes from products which are high in fat, sugar and salt. 47%, you know, nearly half, you know, and that is just simply not good enough. It doesn't have to be like that. There is healthy, nutritious food which will help our children grow and develop in the way that we all want them to do so. The figures show that a fifth, 1 in 5 children born today are on a trajectory to have type 2 diabetes by the time they are 65, with all the life-limiting implications, as the Honourable Gentleman introduced the debate said, for their lives and what they will and won't be able to do. And, you know, at the really gruesome end of statistics, the average number of diabetes-related amputations over the last 3 years, or from 2015-16 to 2017-18, 9,155 amputations due to type 2 diabetes undertaken by the NHS on taxpayers' money, Mr Davis. 27% of those, over a quarter, were major amputations, i.e. above the ankle. You know, people are losing their feet because of a lifetime of bad diet. I mean, it's a bit grim to spell it out this early on a Tuesday morning, but we can't, you know, we can't sort of tiptoe round this issue. You know, it really is that serious, and we need to do something about it. And yet, you know, a number of things are still going in the wrong direction. So the Food Foundation, which I'm a massive fan of, run by our wonderful former colleague Laura Sands, CBE, in their 2020 Broken Plate food report, they show that in 14% of local authorities in the last 18 months, there was over a 5% increase in the number of fast food takeaways. You know, what were the directors of public health doing in those 14% of local authorities, you know, where this is clearly going in the wrong direction? And, you know, the local authorities with the highest number of fast food takeaways. They are pretty much some 40% of all the food outlets in those local authority areas. So we really, really can do better than that. And we do need to hold the food industry to account, as the Obesity Health Alliance have said, to meet their targets to reduce sugar and overall calories from everyday foods. And yes, there has been some progress in children's breakfast cereals, and thank you for that, well done, but not nearly enough along a huge range of food. And I often quote the Dutch supermarket Markt, M-A-R-Q-T for Hansard, which actually, it's a private business looking to make a profit, Mr. Davis, but its whole raison d'etre is to sell healthy, nutritious food. It's not part of its overall philosophy to sell food that will be bad for its customers. So if Markt can do it as a commercial business in the Netherlands, come on Sainsbury's, come on Tesco, come on Asda, come on Morrison's, step up and show that you can do that too. Colour coding on the front of pack labelling, will be mandatory. I know we can do more of that as from next year, and that will just make it easier for people to pick up the right things and healthy things. It does strike me as very surprising that the qualities and outcome framework for our GPs, there is not a specific incentive for GPs to do anything about children being overweight and obese. And that has to change. We pay our GPs to do lots of very good things. If this is a national priority, which I think everyone here thinks it should be, then for goodness sake, let's align the financial incentives for GPs with what we are all trying to achieve and deal with this issue early on in the right way. So overall, I think if we want a sort of strapline for what we're trying to do, we want to make being able to get healthy food the easiest option for people. And it needs to be affordable as well. And actually, amazingly, in Europe, often the healthier food is cheaper than the less healthy food. It doesn't have to be the case that the unhealthy food is the cheapest. In other parts of Europe, that is not the case. Again, that was the 2019 Food Foundation report. So, we could align the financial incentives, to make it easy on people's pockets when money is tight, with putting healthier things in the shopping basket. We need to stop stigma in this area. Some of our press does not report this issue well. That is not helpful. And we do need to make sure there is enough bariatric surgery for to help people who have become severely overweight and obese. I do have a couple of questions for the Minister. Menu labelling. Could the Minister give us an update on that? The Government says it will use the powers in the Food Safety Act 1990 to lay the legislation before Parliament in 2020. Could the Minister tell us when that will happen? There's not much of 2020 left at the moment. The consultation on the labelling on alcoholic drinks is not published yet. When can we expect that, please? And the high in fat, sugar and salt promotions consultation, I don't think is published yet. So when can we expect that? The 9 p.m. watershed, long awaited, that I don't think is published yet. When can we expect that? And in the what next proposals, there are 8 additional policy proposals with limited information about who's responsible. So it'd be good to have a little bit more detail on that. I'd like to see schools really gripping this issue. Yes, schools do a good job now in terms of the food they provide. It is healthy and nutritious, but I do think they should have more emphasis on teaching children the importance of healthy nutrition throughout their lives, on teaching them how to cook, well. That is extremely important as well. All our healthcare professionals have a role in this. We're supposed to have every contact matters. Every contact between a healthcare clinician and a patient is supposed to mention this issue. Dr. Susan Jebb from Oxford, has done lots of good work on how to do that well. We can copy Amsterdam and the great work they have done there to bring down child obesity in particular. Even little things, Dr. Susan Jebb again said when we go to fill up with petrol, sometimes fill up at the pump, don't go in. There's an array of temptation when you go to pay in the shop sometimes. I mean, it seems a trivial and a little thing. Lots of us are paying at the pump because of COVID at the moment. Perhaps that will help a bit. So lots of things we can do, and very urgent, and I look forward to hearing from the Minister on how we're going to take this forward.